We are back in Gainesville, ready for our third game of the day here in the Gainesville Regional. A spot in the regional final on the line in this elimination game between the Stanford Cardinal and the Boise State Broncos. You're watching the NCAA Softball Regionals presented by Capital One. Already today, Florida with a victory over Boise State. That was a run rule win. So Florida in the regional final at noon on Sunday. They will take on the winner of this game. Stanford eliminated Boston University with a run rule win. So it's Boise State and Stanford in a rematch with a spot in tomorrow's regional final on the line. Welcome to Gainesville alongside Madison Shipman. I'm Eric Freed. This is a rematch from yesterday when Boise State had their way with Stanford, but we saw a different Stanford team in their win against BU.
Well, we've seen games from both of these teams this regional where their offenses have just absolutely exploded. For Stanford, it started with Whitney Burke. She went 2 for 3 on the day, including this huge 3-run home run over into the left field pitching lab to really break this game open for the Stanford Cardinal. On the other side for Boise State, it was Rebecca Cervantes yesterday that got the scoring going in the top of the 4th inning with this huge solo blast over the left field wall.
And Boise State was no hit by Kelly Barnhill and Natalie Lugo earlier today. We'll see if the Broncos can find their bats again, or will it be the Cardinal flying on to the regional final? The first pitch is coming up next. Quick turnaround for the Cardinal. About 45 minutes ago or so that they knocked off Boston University, so a little chance to refuel and relax a little bit, but after a run rule win, I think they're just ready to keep playing, and they have that chance here against a Boise State team that played at 2 o'clock today. They were run ruled by Florida. Stanford will be the visiting team. Boise State will be the home team in this meeting here this evening at Katie Seashole Pressly Stadium. And in the circle for Boise State, someone who did so well against Stanford to open up the NCAA tournament play for the Broncos, Kelsey Brodus.
Kelsey Brodus is a left-handed pitcher. The junior is going to get the start here today. She's going to throw anywhere from 63 to 67 miles per hour. She likes to utilize a combination between a curveball, a screwball, and a rise ball. So a ton of pitches, or a ton of spin on her pitches. She really likes to attack inside to batters to get them jammed up and get some easy outs for her defense.
Let's take a look at the starting lineup for Stanford, brought to you by Capital One. It is a familiar look with Tegan Cowles leading off, the right fielder, leading the team in hitting at .371. Hannah Howell, Christina Inouye. And then you go down the lineup to Whitney Burks, who had a 3-run home run in the victory that we just showed you a moment ago for Stanford over BU. We are ready for Game 3 on a warm night here in Gainesville. 91 degrees at first pitch. And what clouds there were in the sky are retreating completely, which you can't always say about May softball in Florida, or softball anywhere else in the country, it seems, at this point.
You haven't even mentioned this nice breeze that we've got going on, too.
Well,
you are slacking.
I'm here for the temperature. You're here for the analysis of the wind direction.
The wind is blowing straight into the press box. We have a fantastic breeze up here right now.
First pitch from Brodus is up for ball 1. Cows was 1 for 4 with 2 runs in the win against the Terriers. 2 for 8 in the tournament. That's called a strike. It is 1-1.
Keegan Cowles, one of the most athletic players on the Stanford team. She has gotten a hit in each of the games so far in this tournament, but it's come in her 4th at-bat each of the games, and I know the Stanford team is looking for her to set the tone early.
Fly ball to center field. That's Cora Wade out there. She's got it for out number 1. Jessica McKay, Cora Wade, and Ashlyn Adams, the familiar names in the outfield for this Boise State team. Ashlyn Adams of SportsCenter top 10 fame with her diving grab yesterday. Brodus went 7, gave up 6 hits, 1 run. It was unearned, 2 walks and a strikeout in beating Stanford. Picking up her 14th win of the season. This bunt is hugging the line and now rolling foul.
Smart play by Allison Sang there over at first base to let that ball go by.
Rest of the defense for Boise State: Fillmore, Cervantes, Johnson, and Sang, with Hutchinson catching Brodus. Out in the outfield, as I mentioned, McKay, Wade, Adams from left to right. And Howell, the left fielder, at .301 on the season, 1 for 7 in the regional. Two and 1.
Hannah Howell is a triple threat player up at the plate, so she has the ability to slap, hit away, and bunt. You can see how the middle infielders are playing fairly deep, but those corners are sucked in to make sure that they deter that bunt from Howell.
Stanford could just not get anything barreled up against Brodus, although Howell had a 1-out single in the first inning of their meeting yesterday. It's a ground ball to the shortstop. Cervantes, 2 down.
We've seen Cervantes make great plays throughout this regional. That one might have been one of the easiest ground balls that she's gotten so far, but she did a great job of charging it, making sure to get it on the good hop and get it on over to first base.
Boise State struggled against Florida. They committed 2 errors against the Gators. Florida with a 3-0 win over BU, an 8-0 win over Boise State. Pitching and defense, always the theme with the Gators, and that's the case again here in the Gainesville Regional. Inouye takes the ball, and it's 1-1. Christina at .307 on the season, was 3 for 3 in the win against BU this afternoon. Stanford fell behind 2-0, but rolled from there, winning 13-2, 2-1. One thing Madison will be keeping an eye on here is adjustments. 3-1. When Boise State comes to the plate, one thing that worked so well for them was just working the Stanford pitchers, fouling off pitch after pitch, just making them work.
Lengthy at bat, yes. Seeing as many pitches as they possibly could to give themselves more information, and most importantly, pass that information along to their teammates. Another good at bat here by Christina Inouye, seeing a ton of pitches, able to draw the walk. Kelsey Brodus doesn't like that call, but it was indeed on the outside half of the plate. And we heard Coach Jessica Allister talk about it last game, about how she liked that her team was more aggressive. So she's wanting to see that again here in this elimination game.
Allister's team scored 6 in the third, 5 in the fourth, 2 in the fifth to pull away from the Terriers. Here's Montana Dixon. Dixon was 2 for 3 in the win against Boston University. Had a double that scored 2 runs and an RBI single. That's inside for a ball. It's 2-0.
See Brodus really wanting that call on the inside half of the plate because she is a left-handed thrower, throwing that curveball inside to the righties. Bet she's wanting that call because she thinks it's crossing the plate at some point on those pitches that are being called too far inside.
And it's off of the batter, Dixon, but I think the home plate umpire, Brett Giggins, is calling her back. And that is indeed the case.
And remember, as a batter, you have the right to the batter's box. You do not have to move if that pitch is coming inside the box, but you cannot move towards it. It's hard to tell from that angle. Let's see where the ball is crossing. It looks like it was in the box. Maybe the elbow was hanging over the chalk line just a little bit, but not by much.
That's called a strike, and it's 2-2. Correction, 3-2. 3-1 rather. 3-1 pitch is a fly ball to left field. McKay drifts back and has it to retire the side. Boise State coming to the plate here with the first in Gainesville.
NCAA Softball Regionals is presented by Capital One. What's in your wallet? And in part by LegalZoom. Get legal help for your business and family at LegalZoom.com. And Heineken. Enjoy Heineken responsibly.
Back here at the University of Florida, we talk about adjustments, perhaps some changes. Here is a little bit of a surprise as Molly Millar, the freshman, will get the start here for Stanford in this elimination game. It's her third start this season.
High pressure situation, like you said, in tonight's elimination game. Well, you're going to see Ada Millar. She throws anywhere between 56 and 64 miles per hour. She throws a rise ball and a drop ball combination, but what makes her so effective is her ability to mix speeds. Her rise ball is going to come in around 56, 58, and her drop ball is going to come in a little harder in the low 60s.
Starting lineup for Boise State brought to you by Capital One. Cora Wade set to lead things off with Cervantes and her 12 home runs, batting second. Brady Fillmore leading the team in home runs and RBI with 15 and 50. And it's ball one from Millar, who pitched an inning of relief in Stanford's first game today, the win against BU. Carolyn Lee got that start with 4 innings, gave up 3 hits and 2 unearned runs. Millar pitched a clean inning to close out the win for Stanford. And there's a strike. It's 1-1.
Cora Wade, a batter with so much speed up at the plate. She's another triple threat lefty hitter, and she's added a little bit more power to her arsenal this year. But she likes to take advantage of teams with that speed, with 25 stolen bases on the year.
Bunted foul, and it's 1-2. You saw Wade with a 39-game on-base streak. She has reached base in 45 of the 50 games for Boise State. This year she did not reach base against Florida. You see the Stanford defense. Inouye Young, Klingeman, Burks with Dixon catching. And in the outfield, Hannah Howell, Taylor Gindelsberger in center, and Tegan Cowles in right. And there is one sun field right now, and it belongs to the right fielders here in this game. Shades down, I'm happy to see, for Tegan.
We have seen a lot of shades left on top of the visors, but Tegan's going no visor, just sunglasses out there in right field. Oh, there it is. Upside down glasses on the visor.
Hannah Howell's going to do it her way out there. It's like somebody got in a nap between games. The entire Boise State team.
Little nap, little food, good to
go.
Ready
to go. This one is sliced out towards Howell. Wade is retired for out number 1.
Howell didn't need those glasses out there. She's got a nice patch of shade in left field. Handled that one easily.
We mentioned 91 degrees at first pitch, but low humidity by Gainesville, Florida standards. A little bit of a breeze, as Madison mentioned, is coming in. So it's truly a pleasant night. Just did not feel that hot here today. We know it has been a struggle to try to get games in, and the bad weather in a lot of parts of the country. We are the lucky ones here in Gainesville. Rebecca Cervantes, the shortstop, the senior at .360 on the season. Takes a strike, it's 1-1. She's 2 for 6 here in the tournament.
And one of the things you'll notice with Rebecca Cervantes and her stance is how open her front foot is. Her toes are almost facing right towards pitcher Molly Millar. And what that does is it allows her hips to clear through the zone. We saw that in her home run yesterday on that inside pitch, driving it all the way out to left field. And I would imagine that's why Millar is trying to stick to the outside half of the plate. Cervantes trying to utilize all that power from her lower body into her swing.
Line shot hit hard, but at Emily Young, 2 down.
Nice piece of hitting there by Cervantes, but a good job by Emily Young to be positioned perfectly to catch that line drive.
Sharing a little information with Brady Fillmore. We showed you the lineup a moment ago. A little bit of a tweak with McKay batting cleanup and Morgan Lamb hitting 5th. Strike 1, the call to Fillmore. Boise State, an at-large selection from the Mountain West, 35-15 now on the season, and Maggie Larravee's first year as their head coach. Went over Stanford on Friday, was their first ever NCAA tournament win. Sliced through the right side and a base hit. 2-out single for Fillmore, her second hit of the regional, and that'll bring up Jessica McKay.
Here's a good look at head coach Maggie Lavery saying they were going to try to utilize some of that experience that they learned from last year's regional, bring that into this year. They were a bit overwhelmed by the crowds and hadn't gotten used to needing to communicate in those types of situations, those high pressure situations. And the whole team learned from that experience, bringing it into these games here in Gainesville.
In their game earlier today, they are behind at the start. Florida was the visiting team. There were 5 walks issued by Boise State pitchers in that first inning. Gianna Mancha got the start, got a couple of outs. Veronica Lynch came on in relief. And it's a ball to Jessica McKay. It's 2-0. As a matter of fact, there were 2 down in the first inning after Kendall Linneman grounded into a double play. Conversation coming in the circle here. But then walks to Adams and Roberts and Reynoso and Hoover in order. A wild pitch scored a run, so a low pass ball actually scored a run. Adams scored. It looked like they were about ready to get out of the jam. Jade Caraway with a 1-2 count on her came up with a 2-run single, and that opened things up against Boise State for Florida.
And Florida's a team you do not want to give free passes to, and they took advantage of them when Boise State gave them to them.
.3-0 the count to McKay. As a result, falling behind 6-0, it just felt like Boise State never found a rhythm at the plate. And Kelly Barnhill has a lot to do with that. She pitched the first 2 innings, but they were behind, felt like it was way behind, and scoreboard proved it out as Florida added 2 more in the second. It was 8-0 and eventually ended in a run rule.
Well, it's hard for these hitters, too, because you know they prepared for Kelly Barnhill, saw her for 2 innings, and then Natalie Lugo came in and threw really well for Florida as well. And she throws completely different, more down in the zone, a lot of change-ups. So they're having to make those in-game adjustments, and they just were not able to do that.
Barnhill and Lugo combined for a 5-inning no-hitter. The only base runner was Cora Wade, and she was caught stealing. They've got a couple of base runners here, and it's an early conversation as Stanford gets some work going in the bullpen. That's Nikki Bauer who came in relief of Carolyn Lee in the game against Boise State. Lee had started the first 2 games of this Gainesville Regional. Went 3 1/3 against Stanford, gave up 5 hits, 5 runs, 3 earned. Boise State scored 9 runs against Stanford, but only 3 of the 9 were earned runs. There you see Carolyn Lee, the senior.
I think both of us were actually a little bit surprised not to see Carolyn Lee out there in the circle in tonight's game. But I think that shows you just how much confidence Coach Allister has in Molly Millar in just a freshman.
Well, you've got Millar, you've got Bauer ready. She's made her way into the dugout. So we'll see how she uses her pitching staff, but it certainly is going to be, we talk about adjustments, that is one from the Stanford point of view. And here is someone that Stanford has to figure out how to get out, because yesterday in the win against Stanford, Morgan Lamb saw 32 pitches thrown by Stanford, fouling off 17 of those 32 pitches. Here's a foul ball on cue.
Now,
in other words, Morgan Lamb was in the batter's box a long time against Stanford yesterday.
A very long time, and now most of those 17 foul balls went on over to the left side as that one makes its way back onto the field. I'd say probably 16 of her 17 foul balls yesterday peppered that left field wall.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Millar ahead in the count, 0-2. Lamb at .326 on the season with 6 home runs, 16 runs batted in. Had a couple of hits against Stanford. And Boise State was so good with 2 strikes. You can see what they did when a hitter had 2 strikes on them. Good scramble by Dixon behind the plate to grab that one. It's 2-2.
Millar trying to throw that changeup and just hung on to it a bit too long. Fantastic job by Dixon back there behind the plate to catch that one before it got to the wall and allowed runners to advance 1 more base.
Swing and a miss, and Millar strikes out Morgan Lamb. Impressive start for the freshman.
Millar coming back after holding on to that changeup for a little bit too long, decides to go to the drop ball and gets Morgan Lamb swinging.
It is on again at a place where legends live.
You can't script it any better than this.
You're going to make a run in Oklahoma City. You've got to be super confident on the biggest stages.
This is a stage that every little girl that plays softball dreams for.
There is history to be made.
Coverage begins May 30th from Oklahoma City. What a day today. I know there have been a lot of weather delays that continue, but home run display put on by Florida State. Some walk-off wins again today. We saw walk-off from Georgia yesterday. Sierra Bryan in the 8th inning after Justice Mills had tied it against Drake in the 7th inning. Louisville has knocked off a seeded team, winning at Northwestern. The question's going to be, will there be an unseeded team to reach the Women's College World Series? Hasn't happened since 2012 when USF and LSU did it. So a lot to be determined here on our road to Oklahoma City. Strike 1 to Emily Young, leading things off for Stanford here in the top half of the 2nd inning. Emily Young, Emily Schultz, and Whitney Burks due up for Stanford. Emily Young, the shortstop, hitting in the 5 spot, member of the Pac-12 all-freshman team. One of 3 Emilys in the starting lineup, all freshmen.
The Young, like you said, just a freshman, but her coaches say that she controls the zone very well, which I think is one of the hardest adjustments for freshmen to make coming out of their high school play, is making sure that you're not free swinging too much, you're not swinging out of the zone, and that's something that Emily Young has done really well so far this year.
Young sends a fly ball to Coral Wade in center field, 1 away. Women's College World Series, as I mentioned, returns to Oklahoma City starting Thursday, May 30th at noon Eastern. You can see it live on ESPN. For more information on the 2019 Women's College World Series, go to NCAA.com, the official online home for all 90 NCAA championships. And if you're going to Oklahoma City, be sure to say hello to Madison Shipman. She will be there.
I will be there. Let's hope the weather's a little bit like here it is in Gainesville this weekend.
Popped up on the infield. Cervantes, the shortstop, calls for it. And Emily Schultz is retired, 2 down. You are not going to top the weather here today. Although at 91 degrees, I would suggest that get refrigerated as soon as possible.
If you're playing softball and you're hungry, you do not care.
Yeah.
You will eat them.
91 degrees is not the recommended temperature to keep deli sandwiches. And dugouts, you know, it's 91 on the field. Even that home dugout, which has been in the shade for a while, those things get hot in there.
Hey, look at, there's even more.
That one at least has been touched, it looks like.
If I were down there in that dugout,
you'd be too nervous to eat.
What? No.
Well, that's right. I'm sitting next to Madison Shipman, who
I'm all about the snacks, the sandwiches, you name it. Got to make sure these players are fueled up.
I've learned that working with you this year.
I may or may not have a cinnamon roll sitting here next to me.
You may. I can smell it. And more importantly, our crew can smell it too.
Goldfish, always a good snack. The snack that smiles back. Coach is eating. Coach is eating. You got to make sure everybody is fueled up on the field. It is a big concern.
2-2 the count to Whitney Burks.
Oh, and of course the fans. Fans got to eat too.
Everyone would be so happy to know, Griff, that you're shooting these close-ups of them just trying to enjoy a snack or dinner or peanuts. 2-2. Count runs full. Been a lot of home runs here at the start of the NCAA tournament. Not a lot here in this park on a warm regional. You thought maybe there'd be a little bit. There was a no doubt about it swing by Burks on her home run. Same could be true said of Cervantes and her home run against Stanford as Burks works a walk.
You can see why Brodus was staying on the outside half of the plate to Burks. Like you said, that one off of her bat earlier today was a no-doubter, almost cleared the pitching lab out there in left field. And that hit really busted the scoring wide open for Stanford.
That was a 3-run shot in the third inning, 6-run third inning for the Cardinal. Strike one to freshman center fielder Taylor Gindelsberger. Oh, 2.
Gindelsberger is somebody who's really a gap-to-gap hitter but has some good speed. You saw her there trying to utilize that bunt for a base hit to get the ball on the ground. Now here in a 2-strike situation, behind in the count to Brodus, going to have to foul off anything close, see if she'll make a mistake.
Grounded back to second. Johnson will take it herself to retire the side. We're scoreless in Gainesville after 1.5. Back here in Gainesville, the NCAA Regionals presented by Capital One. Meeting here of Mountain West and Pac-12 as we take a look at wins by conference. Florida picking up a win today. 16 now for the SEC. The Big Ten's most recent win was a thriller Georgia led Minnesota 1-0 in the 7th. Minnesota tied it up in the 7th and then ended it in walk-off fashion in Minneapolis. Hope Brander with the walk-off home run. So the Big Ten now with 8 victories. Stanford with the win over BU, giving the Pac-12 their 5th win. Ashlyn Adams to lead it off for Boise State here in the home half of the 2nd inning. The winner takes on Florida at noon Eastern time on Sunday. The loser goes home. Three still standing. 1-1 to Adams, the right fielder with 5 home runs, 38 runs batted in, 5 triples on the season. She's scored a couple of runs here in Gainesville.
Adams has some really good numbers up at the plate, but her defense has been phenomenal out there in right field, making a great diving catch into foul territory. Even making SportsCenter top 10 last night.
That was number 5. I'm sure she's thinking, well, then Sophia Reynoso had to go top me with her dive into the camera well, which was number 3 on the SC top 10. Liner to the left fielder. Good read by left fielder Hannah Howell to come in and get it for out number 1.
Nice adjustment by Adams in that at bat to get that ball right on the barrel, but unfortunately for Adams, it went right to Howell in left field for out number 1.
I'll bring up Carly Johnson, junior at 285 on the season. 3 runs batted in the win against Stanford yesterday.
And Johnson's story is really impressive because she was a right-handed hitter back in high school. Or in junior high, excuse me, switched to the left side. She was a slapper. And then this fall, hitting coach Andrew Rich saw her take a cut from the right side, and he said, you know what? I'm going to need you to do that again. And from that moment on, she has stayed on the right side.
This is bloop towards the shortstop, Emily Young, 2 down. Yeah, that's one. Can I see that right-handed swing one more time? It looks a lot more natural. Why don't you stick with that? And she entered the NCAA tournament with a 286 average this year.
It was hard enough for me hitting from the right side, which was something I had done since I was 8 years old, let alone having to switch in the fall right before season. Just so impressive. I never quite had the speed to be a slapper.
Well, you're more of it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yes.
A home run trot is a lot.
I figured if I hit it well enough, I got to jog around the bases.
Hutchinson swings at the first pitch and grounds to third. 1-2-3 inning for freshman Molly Millar in the circle for Stanford. 7 pitches that inning for Millar, scoreless after 2. Great plays here in the Gainesville Regional. Mentioned it before with the work at shortstop by Cervantes, turning a double play against Stanford yesterday. Her teammate in right field, Ashlyn Adams, SC top 10, getting that play in foul territory. Then Sophia Reynoso just grabbing it, ended up in the photo well, getting the out for Florida.
How about the assist by the cameraman in there, making sure she didn't flip all the way over? They should get some props as well.
Florida has played error-free. That's Dennis down there who took the charge or gave the help to Reynoso. Take your pick. Swinging at the first pitch, it's Klingeman who lifts the fly ball to left center. Cora Wade is there. 1 away. And then on the flip side, we've had a few plays where errors have been incredibly costly.
Yes.
So many unearned runs. Boise State took advantage of some Stanford miscues and scored some unearned runs. Certainly was the case with Games earlier today here at Pressly Stadium. Cal swings at the first pitch and fouls it off for strike one. She flied out to Wade in center field her first time. Kelsey Brodus, complete game win against Stanford yesterday, giving up 6 hits.
She has great composure in the circle too. Even when she's not getting those calls behind the plate, she still keeps that same facial expression in the circle to tell you she doesn't get too high, she doesn't get too low, she stays real even keel. Somebody that her teammates can look upon to be that steady force out there in the circle.
Brodus goes into the record books as the winning pitcher for Boise State's first ever NCAA tournament win. That comes inside. It's 2-2. This is the 11th year of the Boise State program. Back-to-back trips to the NCAA tournament. Brodus had experience last year in the Seattle Regional. Broncos lost to Washington and to Minnesota.
And you could tell talking to some of their players that they were definitely nervous in that regional last year, looking to curb some of those nerves here in Gainesville and use some of that experience, bring some of that confidence that they've had all season long out here to the regional. And I think you're seeing it by the way that they're playing free, sticking to their strengths, which has been their offense throughout the entire season so far.
Line drive, base hit for Cowles. Takes a turn at first, will hold there with a 1-out single.
Nice job by Tegan Cowles in this at-bat as well. She hit a couple of foul balls and finally adjusted on this last pitch. Got her barrel right to that inside curveball and drives it on out into left field to get a runner on board for the Stanford Cardinal.
Third hit of the regional for the junior. Here's Hannah Howell. Cowles is a threat to steal. She's 10 of 11 to lead the team in stolen bases this year. One and one. Serena Hutchinson behind the plate, 8 of 28 catching bait stealers this year, 29%. That's slapped off the glove of the third baseman, so they'll get the force at second, and that's all they'll get.
Quick reflexes by Brady Fillmore over there at third base. That was a hot shot off the bat of Howell, went right to her, knocked it down with her glove, picks it up with that bare hand to get Cowles out at second base. Because of that line drive, Tegan Cowles had to freeze in case she caught it. But even though she dropped it, she still had enough time to get that lead runner out over at second base.
Here is Inouye. Takes strike one. She was Stanford's first base runner tonight, walked in the first. 2 walks issued by Brodus. And the 1 hit has come this inning off the bat of Cowles. 1-1. As a team, Stanford came into this tournament hitting .277 with 28 home runs. One number that does jump out, triples. 25 triples on the season, good for second in the country.
Very impressive. That just shows you how much speed they have in their lineup, 1 through 9. Triples aren't easy to come by either. You got to hit them in the right spots. You got to make sure you are motoring right out of the box.
Here's the 3-1.
That brings us to a full count. That means that Howell on first base is going to be on the move with every one of these pitches. We're already seeing that communication from the Boise State defense, making sure that they are well aware that Howell is going to be on the move.
Just getting a piece. Inouye put the ball in play 3 times against Kelsey Brodus yesterday. Reached center fielder's choice, lined out to third, and flied out to left. She has not struck out here in this regional. She has been a tough out for the Cardinal. She knows it.
She's another tough out in this at-bat, too, fouling off those marginal pitches. There were a couple earlier in this at-bat that she took for balls, but now that she's in a 2-strike situation, she is not going to leave this at-bat in the hands of the umpire.
Grounded through the hole into left field for a base hit. Inouye reaches base for the 2nd time today. And the 6th time combined between the 2 Stanford games today in 6 plate appearances.
And that's what those long at-bats can do. You get a pitch right over the heart of the plate, and she's able to drill that one right through the 5-6 hole to extend this inning. Wearing down the pitcher 1 pitch at a time.
Gets the base hit. 8-pitch at bat. That was pitch number 51 of the evening for Kelsey Brodus. Brodus threw 109 and going the distance against Stanford yesterday. Montana Dixon flied out to left in the 1st.
We're still seeing them be aggressive early in these counts. It's not like they're backing their way into these full counts to Kelsey Brodus. They are swinging early in the count, fouling off pitches, getting a feel for what Brodus is throwing out there in the circle. And another battle here by Montana Dixon, getting those pitches on the outside half of the plate. You know that Brodus can sense how aggressive these Stanford batters are being in the box. So she keeps on inching that ball farther and farther away from Dixon. Trying to induce a swing and miss here with 2 strikes.
2 on, 2 out. And conversation in the circle for Boise State. And between Jessica Allister and Montana Dixon.
Andrew Rich probably coming out to talk a little bit of strategy as far as defense and where they want to put this ball in the situation. When you got 2 outs and you got runners on 1st and 2nd, your infield can make a play to either 3rd, 2nd, or 1st base, making sure they get the sure out wherever that ball takes them.
Two and 2 to Dixon. Howell at second, Inouye at first. Swing and a miss, and Brodus battles back to get the strikeout. First strikeout of the evening for Kelsey Brodus, junior from Albany, Oregon. Keeps it scoreless. You are watching the NCAA Softball Regionals presented by Capital One. Florida with 2 wins, both by way of shutout. 3-0 over Boston University in the opening round. They run-ruled Boise State. That sent the Broncos into this elimination game against Stanford. Cardinal run-ruled Boston University. This is a rematch of yesterday's game that was all Boise State, but a different vibe to this game here in the early going, and a bit of a surprise with Stanford going with Molly Millar in the circle as the freshman gets her 3rd start. We've had our eyes on these games here in Gainesville, but also we've been keeping tabs on what's happening across the country, and no surprise, G. Juarez is dialed in for the postseason.
How about that? 4th career no-hitter, 16 strikeouts on the day. I would say that it was a fairly easy day for Oklahoma's defense if she's striking out that many batters.
National seeds 25-2. Texas battling Texas A&M right now in an elimination game, so a lot on the line. We welcome those of you joining us here in Gainesville, Florida. Eric Freed, Madison Shipman, and our crew. This is an elimination game between the Stanford Cardinal and the Boise State Broncos. We are scoreless. This is a rematch of a game from yesterday that Boise State won with ease, 9-1 over Stanford. Kelsey Brodus back in the circle for Boise State. She picked up the win against the Cardinal yesterday. Stanford surprisingly going with Molly Millar in the circle. The freshman has looked good so far in her 3rd career start and just her 9th appearance this season. She came in having pitched only 16 innings all year, and she's ready to work to Boise State here in the 3rd inning, Madison.
And of course, coming in a very high-pressure situation, an elimination game today, but one of the things that she has done so well in the circle is mix speeds. She's been mixing them up so much that Boise State has not been able to find their timing up at the plate, and they've been mishitting balls and not able to connect to score any runs.
First pitch strike from the freshman to the number 9 hitter, Allison Sang. 4 in a row retired by Millar. Carolyn Lee had started the first 2 games for Stanford here in this regional. Went 4 innings earlier today in a victory over Boston University. Saying 1 for 4 with a couple of runs batted in here in this regional. 1-1.
Sang is a batter who was the Mountain West Freshman of the Year last year, but she struggled a little bit with consistency up at the plate during her sophomore season. She's starting to find her way a little bit here in the postseason, but she's a player that has such great hand-eye coordination up at the plate that she can get it done at any time.
Two and two.
That pitch right there was a great example of the speeds that Molly Millar is mixing out there in the circle. That pitch hit right off the end of the bat of Allison Sang. Shows you she's early on the pitch, not able to get her timing down. That's what makes it so difficult to square up balls against Millar in the circle.
Count goes full to Sang, leading off the 3rd here for Boise State. Sang, Wade, and Cervantes for the Broncos. Back to the pitcher. 1 away.
We've seen tons of full counts by both Stanford and Boise State. These batters just battling, trying to extend these at-bats, see as much information on the pitchers as they possibly can, and pass the bat to their teammate in the lineup behind them.
Back to the top of the order for Boise State and Cora Wade. Wade flied to left in the first. Lays down the bunt. It's a fair ball. Well done by Dixon to get out and throw it on to Burks at first, 2 down.
A phenomenal play by Dixon back there. Cora Wade has so much speed. She gets this ball right off the end of the bat, but Dixon does not hesitate. She pops right up out of that squat, fields that ball in front of home plate, and is able to throw Cora Wade out at first base.
I love the look from Whitney Burks as she made the catch, just looking right at her catcher like that had a little,
hey, she's feeling
heat
it
on it, yeah. That's fouled off of Cervantes for strike 1. See Whitney, who's had a good day at the plate, 3-run home run in the win against BU, broke that game open. Cervantes had the big hit in the meeting between these two teams yesterday. Her home run leading off the 4th inning got Boise State started. They scored 5 runs in that 4th inning. Ended up winning 9-1. Gets the corner for strike 2.
And Cervantes' first at bat today. Millar worked that outside half of the plate, knowing what she had done in the previous game, hitting that inside pitch over the left field wall, utilizing those different speeds on the outside corner. See if they can get Cervantes swinging.
Grounder up the middle and through for a base hit. So a 2-out single for Cervantes. That's her 3rd hit of the regional. And she's on with 2 away.
A great adjustment by Cervantes up at the plate. She knew that they were going to throw her outside, so she attacks this pitch, stays with it, and extends through it to hit it out into center field to get a runner on board with 2 outs.
Brady Fillmore singled to right in the first. Fillmore leading Boise State with 15 home runs on the season.
Dixon's going to come out and have a chat with Millar, knowing they're going up against the most powerful batter in this Boise State lineup. You can see they're trying to keep the ball down in the zone. I would assume that's probably a little bit too low for their liking. You don't want to continue to fall behind to these batters because then it forces you to bring that ball over the heart of the plate. And you're facing one of the best offenses in the country. Coming into this weekend, they were top 10 in batting average, 9th in slugging percentage. 1 through 9, they can do damage.
Tori Nyberg is the Stanford pitching coach. Cervantes single, ended a run of 6 in a row, retired by Millar. Now down the count, 2-0 to Fillmore. 2-1.
Millar continues to work that ball down in the zone to Fillmore. They want to make sure that this ball stays in the park, try to hit it to somebody on their infield, get a ground ball, and try to get back into their own dugout.
Called strike. It's 3-2.
It's a great spot on that low and outside corner. Brings this count to full with 2 outs. You know, Rebecca Cervantes over at first base is going to be on the move on this pitch.
Grounded to short. The play is to first with Cervantes in motion, and that will retire the side. For those watching on ESPN News, you want to continue to watch this game, flip on over to ESPN2. And if you flip on over to ESPN2, you'll hear us talk to Maggie Laveri when we come back. We are back in Gainesville. Joined now by Boise State head coach Maggie Laveri. And Maggie, this game is unfolding, well, it was scoreless when you guys played Stanford for a few innings there. What's the vibe down the field right now and how this one's unfolding?
I don't know that we were expecting that so far in this one, but we're going to keep after it, keep having quality at bats. We'll run into some. We'll get some to fall for us.
And Kelsey Brodus has been really phenomenal for you guys in the circle. What are you liking about her presence out there for your team?
She's doing a great job. Kelsey wants the ball. She always wants the ball. And so anybody that's that confident, we like to hand it to them, and we'll go compete.
Look over your left shoulder. Rick.
Let's go. Got him.
Yes.
Got him.
That's the last word. Thanks. Maggie.
Coach getting a little revenge on that one.
You know, and I was going to ask her too, if no one's going to eat those sandwiches in the dugout, could we borrow them? Because like literally on a 91-degree night, they need to be consumed quickly. And our crew right now who's been here, what was crew called today? 9:30 a.m. I've been told. And I'm sure they were, got here and they were ready to work. So those sandwiches look pretty good. Ready for the top half of the 4th inning here at Katie Seashole Pressly Stadium, the home of the Florida Gators. The Gators will be playing tomorrow at noon against the winner of this game. This elimination matchup between Stanford and Boise State. Emily Young leading things off here for Stanford in the 4th. Flight out to center back in the 2nd. A little bit of a smile from Kelsey Brodus. We have not seen.
I think that's the most emotion we've seen out of her all game long.
She is quite the poker face. Two and one to Young. Liner to left, turning around and reaching up and making the catch is McKay.
That was a great catch out there by Jessica McKay. She's laughing a little bit because she had to switch her feet around going back on that one. Coming hot off the bat of Emily Young. She initially turned over her left shoulder, decided she needed to go back to the right, still able to hang onto it for the catch. And Kelsey Brodus is pumped in the circle. That's how you know it was a good play when you get her.
That's true. I think Jessica's relieved because she was on the turntable there for a minute and ended up making the catch.
Sometimes it happens. Sometimes the ball goes a little bit farther than you anticipate, but a great job of recovering and never once stopping your feet. Every once in a while you'll see outfielders drop step towards the right side, stop their feet to try to regather themselves, but she just kept on going back towards that left field wall.
Another chance here for McKay. Degree of difficulty a little lower for that one, 2 down. Best way not to miss a minute of the action from the NCAA Softball Regionals is with the Bases Loaded channel on the ESPN app. You can see every game, every big moment on the road to the Women's College World Series, only on the ESPN networks. I'm going to assume some of the biggest moments today is when the grounds crews have pulled off the tarps to allow play to resume.
Celebrations everywhere when they see those tarps being pulled off.
We've had some walk-offs, we've had some upsets.
Lots of extra inning games as well. Some pitchers duels. Now Michigan and James Madison went 12 innings earlier today.
Oklahoma State, the first team to make it onto the Super Regionals as they took the Stillwater Regional. One and two, the count to Whitney Burks, who walked her first time.
And a big hack on that 1-1 pitch. She does not get cheated on any of her swings, and we saw that from that no doubt home run that she hit earlier today. Let's take a look at that home run. This pitch on the inside half of the plate, she absolutely turns on it, almost clears the pitcher's lab out there in left field. That one left no doubt in anybody's mind that that one was going to leave the yard.
Seventh home run of the season for the senior, who's retired here by Kelsey Brodus. 1-2-3 inning for the lefty. We'll talk with Stanford head coach Jennifer Allister next. Well, it's here in the fourth. Jessica Allister joins us now, the Stanford head coach. I want to get your opinion on the play of your freshmen so far in their first taste of the NCAA tournament play, because you got plenty of them in your lineup here today.
Yeah, they're doing a good job. You know, I think Molly's doing a great job in the circle. She's poised, she's attacking the zone, she changes speeds. And I think as a whole, offensively, you know, we're making some loud outs. We just got to stick with it and find a way to break through.
That's what I was going to ask, some specific adjustments that you're looking for your offense to make moving forward to break out of this game.
Yeah, we got to keep fighting to try to get our barrel out a little bit more. We're a little bit behind us, but I thought that last inning was better. You know, I think Young crushed that ball. I think Schultz just missed it, so we just got to stick with it.
Jessica, we appreciate the time as always.
Thank you.
She'll make the run down to the third base coach's box. Oh, no, wait. She's in the dugout now. Is this our third game of the day?
It is. We saw her run over there earlier today, yes.
I'm just so confused when it's the third game. But you've kept it all together here. Yeah, that right there. That's what I look like right now.
You need some of my
calling
cinnamon roll over here.
Yes. Why are you holding back? I thought you were a good teammate. That's the boost I need. Jessica McKay at the plates. McKay walked in the first. Ground ball to Emily Young to first. One away. We go to Molly McGrath with a studio update. Oh, good, Molly. You know how to make me feel better. I appreciate that. Popped up on the infield. The pitcher calls for it, and that's Millar. When we talked to Jessica Allister about her freshman, and, you know, they've got freshmen in the lineup. They've got a freshman in the circle who's been outstanding here. We thought maybe an inning or two and then get to the veteran pitchers, but she's pitching shutout ball here in the fourth inning.
We thought she was great just in the circle, but how about that, running all the way over to the first base foul line to catch that pop fly. She was making sure that thing had no chance of dropping.
Here's Ashlyn Adams. Strike one. Very efficient for Millar as well. Madison, 51 pitches. Can't state it enough. She came in with an 0-2 record, a 5.25 earned run average. This is just her 9th appearance this year, just her 3rd start of the season. And it's a 1-2-3 inning for the freshman and the Cardinal. 5-pitch inning for Millar. Still scoreless in Gainesville. Got a pitcher's duel in this elimination game between Stanford and Boise State. 2 hits for each side, no runs in this game. Freshman Molly Millar in her 3rd start of the season. 4 innings of 2-hit ball, giving up just 1 walk and 1 strikeout. Stanford with their 2 hits off of Kelsey Brodus, who shut Stanford down yesterday in a 9-1 win, but Millar keeping those Boise State bats quiet here so far in this matchup.
And I'd say that Millar might have a little bit of an advantage over Brodus just because this Boise State offense has not seen her before. This is the first time that they've seen her, whereas Brodus has gone through this lineup several times, but Stanford has not been able to make an adjustment with their bats.
8-9-1 for the Cardinal here as Taylor Kindlesberger shows the bunt. It's 0-1.
And I like the idea of trying to use small ball here. Like we've said, they haven't been able to make those adjustments. You want to do whatever you can to get runners on base, even if that means laying down a bunt.
Back up the middle, grabbed by Brodus, 1 down. Molly McGrath with another update. Scoreless here in Gainesville between the Cardinal and the Broncos. Strike 1 to Emily Klingeman. She flied out to center field. Back in the 3rd. Well, Brodus has done a great job against Stanford again, keeping them quiet. Remember, this is a Stanford team that scored 13 runs against BU in a run rule win, setting up this matchup here with the winner to take on Florida tomorrow at noon with a spot in the Super Regionals on the line.
And Stanford's a team that has faced tough pitching all season long. Just being in the Pac-12, you look at their last 4 series playing Arizona, Arizona State, UCLA, and Washington. Really got thrown the gauntlet towards the end of the season. But when we talked to Coach Allister about it, she said she thinks that makes them tougher because they faced some of the top pitchers in the country. So that's got to give their offense a lot more confidence when they step up into the plate. Still looking for them to make adjustments here in this game.
Fly ball heading towards foul ground. Coming in is the left fielder, McKay, 2 down. A reminder tonight, Game 3 Western Conference Finals in Portland, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific on ESPN and ESPN Deportes. The Warriors on top in that best of 7, 2 games, 2-0. Two down here in the 5th. Top of the order, here's Cowles. 1 for 2 tonight. She takes ball 1. To your point about the gauntlet that Stanford had to run in the Pac-12, not just those last 2 weekends of the season, but all season long. You can dwell on the losses. You can look at your record and say, well, you know, we just lost 5 of 6, or you can play the positives. They beat UCLA in one of those games. They had little moments in the games against Washington. They didn't field the ball great against Washington. So you come into this tournament saying, well, let's field the ball a little bit better. Let's take care of ourselves a little bit better. Let's be a little bit cleaner. We talked about all the freshmen they've got in their lineup. So she's big on, let's take some of the positives out of there. Don't dwell on all those negatives.
Well, absolutely, and they've got wins against teams like LSU, Michigan, Northwestern, and like you said, UCLA.
Solid liner to right field. Gets by the right fielder. Adams has to chase it down, and Cowles is around second, heading to third. She's being waved around. Here comes the throw. It is in time, and holding on to it is Hutchinson. And Cowles is cut down.
What a great relay in from the right fielder, Ashlyn Adams. Tegan Cowles trying to extend this one into it in the Parker, but she is cut down at home, and the score is still 0-0 going into the 6th.
Cal still trying to catch her breath, as are we, on that play that ended the top half of the 5th inning.
Tegan Cowles rips this ball into right field. It goes past the right fielder, Ashlyn Adams. She brings it on in to Carly Johnson, who throws it into Serena Hutchinson at the plate, who's able to apply the tag on Tegan Cowles before she is able to score. Stanford doing whatever they could to try to get one run across the board, but great job defensively to make up for that initial ball going right by Ashlyn Adams in right field.
It's a single for Cowles, an error on the right fielder Adams, but she atoned for her mistake by getting after the ball she let get by her, getting it into the cutoff Johnson, and Johnson with a very strong throw up the line a little bit, but a lot on it, was there in plenty of time to get Cowles at the plate. Score at 9-4-2.
That was the key, that it got there in plenty of time, so it allowed Hutchinson to set herself up properly to make that tag on Cowles.
Carly Johnson claiming that that pitch hit her foot. Maggie Laveri coming down for the third base coach's box, and the umpires will talk it over.
This ball was down in the zone. It's hard to tell if it did change directions, but it does look like they are going to award her first base, saying that it clipped off the top of her right foot. So Carly Johnson heads her way on down to first base. Now Boise State's got a runner on first with no outs.
Now Alistair wants an explanation from the home plate umpire, probably reminding him that there's no one closer to that play than you, but with his 4-umpire crew certainly encouraging them to talk it over, get the call right. No video replay available in the NCAA tournament.
Now with the runner on first base, Stanford is anticipating a sac bunt situation, and that's indeed what does happen. You can see those corners squeezed well in to try to cut down that bunt and even possibly get the lead runner out if they could.
It's the first time in this game, Madison, that the leadoff batter has reached base. Molly Millar has been outstanding in the circle for Stanford. Freshman hitting Johnson with the pitch. Now Hutchinson trying to move her over here in the 5th.
Home plate umpire making sure that everybody's set before Millar goes into her pitch.
There is the bunt. It is a good one. The sacrifice is successful. Johnson to second with one down.
Those sacrifice bunts are so important into the postseason. A great job by Hutchinson to lay that one down to make sure that it was in fair territory to move Johnson on over into scoring position.
I'll bring up the number 9 hitter, Allison Tseng, maybe number 9 in name only, hitting over 300 on the season. Coming into this game here tonight, 3 home runs, 35 runs batted in. And Tseng swings at the first pitch, but grounds it back to Millar. The freshman gets the out, 2 down.
We've seen great defense from Millar all game long. That ball hit right back to her off the bat of Allison Tseng. Hit off the bat just a little bit, but I love the initial reaction to look Carly Johnson back at second base to make sure she did not advance over to third, and still able to get that out over at first base for the second out of the inning.
Top of the order, here's Cora Wade, who's 0 for 2 tonight. Flight out to left in the first. Grounded out catcher to first in the third. She is 1 for 8 here in this regional. Up the middle, base hit. Here comes the runner. The throw is high. The slide is safe.
The senior Cora Wade comes in clutch with the base hit up the middle to score Carly Johnson from second base. But how about this slide in? Initially does not touch home, but it was a battle, a crawling battle to touch home plate. And Carly Johnson ends up winning that, just outstretching the tag of Montana Dixon. A bit of an unconventional slide, but it ends up working out for Boise State.
Boy, plate umpire Brett Giggins was right there. Let's watch one more time. We'll blow it up a little bit, but there were 2 reaches for the plate. Looks like there's a clean miss here, but watch this first reach comes up short. There's the tag, but do the fingers get in there?
Do the fingers slide in? It looked from the other angle that her fingers might have just slid in.
Right
oh,
there.
Right there,
just as she reaches. Wow, great look from our crew here.
I mean, talk about a game of inches. Literally fingertips touching home plate on that play.
And the plate umpire was looking right down.
He had the perfect view.
The tag and the reach. So great job by Johnson to get in there for the game's first run.
You know what? We got to look at it again.
Here's another angle.
There are those fingertips. Oh, so close.
I think just as she extended the fingers out a little bit more.
I think she got in there.
Foul ball. Let's take you back from start to finish.
Cora Wade drives this one back up the middle. No hesitation by Johnson coming around third base. An unconventional slide. Typically you want to go straight into home plate, but it actually worked to her advantage that she avoided that tag by Montana Dixon, able to get those fingertips in and touch home plate for a run for Boise State.
0-2 to Cervantes.
I'd say that's a slide that they probably don't practice on a regular basis. That's all instinct.
It's all survival.
Survival, yes.
It's all survival.
Especially
is
in an
what
elimination
Carly was
game.
Thinking of, no question. Your season is on the line. And when you get into an elimination game, you think about what the seniors will do if they can do a little bit extra. And Cora Wade is one of those seniors, and she came through with the RBI single.
The 3-year captain puts the team on her back, knowing they needed a run, and drives that ball right back up the middle.
Cervantes, her classmate, gets a piece to stay alive.
Cervantes, a player with so much power up at the plate. 41 career home runs, 185 career RBIs.
That's out of play. We'll do it again at 2-2. The hit by Wade, just the third of the night for Boise State, their first since the 2-out single for Cervantes back in the third. Started with the hit batter to lead things off as Johnson was hit by the pitch, originally not called by the plate umpire. But the umpires got together, decided to award her first base. A successful sacrifice bunt laid down by Hutchinson. And after Seng was retired, the 2-out single for Cora Wade, scoring Johnson on a wild, scrambling slide/roll at home plate. Line drive knocked down by the second baseman. They're going to wave the runner around. Here she comes, and Boise State's got another run. There was no hesitation at all from Larrabee in that third base coach's box after the line shot went off Klingeman's glove for a base hit. 2-0 Boise State.
A great adjustment by Cervantes up in the plate. This ball low and outside. She stays with it. See how extended she gets through the zone. Cora Wade not hesitating at all, coming around third base, able to score off of that deflection off the glove of Emily Klingeman. A great effort by the second baseman, but because it shot off so far, it allowed Cora Wade to score for the second run of the inning.
Here is Fillmore. Takes ball one. Brady's 1 for 2 tonight. Singled in the first, grounded to short in the third. Conversation in the circle gives me a chance to remind you that tonight, after Game 3 of the Western Conference Finals at Sports Center with Scott Van Pelt, he'll have post-game reaction from Portland, Game 3 between the Blazers and Golden State. Doris Burke, Brian Windhorst, Paul Pierce with their takeaways, and Andy North on Brooks Koepka's day at the PGA Championship on Long Island. Sports Center with SVP. That's after Warriors, Trailblazers. .1-0 slapped out the right field and foul.
Millar continues to throw a really good game in the circle. Those hits not squared up a whole lot, but just enough to get right past those infielders and allow those 2 runs to come across the board.
That one's hit hard, but foul.
I think we're starting to see some adjustments made by the Boise State offense. Not going up there trying to hit the ball out of the park with every single swing, but just put the ball on the ground, try to get it on the barrel of the bat, and make contact enough just to get it by these infielders. Millar's had a couple of very efficient innings, one 7-pitch inning, one 5-pitch inning, but here Boise State trying to extend this one out.
Fillmore. Now with the 2-2 count. To your point, Madison, the efficient innings balanced out by this inning. This will be the 20th pitch this inning for the freshman. And counting.
Tons and tons of foul balls that we've seen all regional long from this Boise State offense, just fighting tooth and nail no matter what the count is to see if they can get a pitch anywhere near the plate and do something productive with it.
It has taken a while for Boise State to figure out this freshman. If you look at pitching for Stanford, it's Carolyn Lee who leads the team in innings pitch. Kiana Pansino, Maddie Dwyer, tons of innings for the 2 of them. Millar has come up, but she's given up a base hit here to make it first and second with 2 down. Fillmore comes up with her second hit of the evening. That's 3 hits in a row now. And perhaps that will be the night for Millar. Boise State on Friday night was scoreless into the 4th inning. We talked to Maggie Lavery about it here tonight. They figure out a way to make those adjustments, and they come in the 5th here today. And that will be it for the freshman Molly Millar. As Nikki Bauer gets set to take her place. Millar did a great job here in the NCAA tournament. Back in a moment. Okay, Molly, thanks so much. So South Carolina survives. Kennedy Clark comes through. USF is done. Swinging at the first pitch from the reliever Bauer. This is trouble. Everyone is safe.
The first pitch from Nikki Bauer. She gets McKay to get this ball right off the end of the bat. can see a bit of miscommunication over on the right side. Whitney Burks wasn't sure if she should go for the ball or stay back towards first base. That's where you need optimum communication. Got to let your infielders know if you're going to go after that ball to let your second baseman come and cover first base behind you. But they weren't exactly sure who was going to get what, and that allows another runner to get on base.
So Nikki Bauer working for the second day here in the NCAA tournament. It's really interesting when you take a look at the numbers for Stanford's pitching staff. Kiana Pansino, Maddie Dwyer, and Carolyn Lee had combined for 80 appearances during the regular season. Bauer and Millar, who are pitching tonight, entered the tournament having made 18 appearances during the regular season. So a bit of a surprise from Stanford to go with first Millar starting tonight, now Bauer out of the pen, now with the bases loaded here for Boise State with 2 down.
We were really shocked even from the beginning of this game that we didn't see senior Carolyn Lee out there in the circle. Now, to your point, we're not seeing any of those pitchers that have several innings on the year. Now, one of the advantages of that is it's hard to find film or scouting reports on pitchers that don't have very many appearances throughout the year. But this is an elimination game, the most important game that Stanford has played all season long. And it's come down in the hands of Nikki Bauer.
Bauer came in relief of Lee yesterday. Went 3 1/3. Swung on, and a fly ball to the center fielder. Gindelsberger comes on to retire the side. Boise State leaves them loaded, but they score 2. The highlight, Carly Johnson avoiding the tag once and then twice and reaching in there. She was safe for the game's first run. 2-0 Broncos. We're watching the NCAA Softball Regionals presented by Capital One. And you are also watching the full flower moon shining over Gainesville.
The full flower moon.
Flower moon here on May the 18th.
Wow. Dropping some outside softball knowledge on me.
You know, I really pick up speed at the end of our 3rd game. So,
wow. What does the full flower moon mean?
I believe in some parts of you know, this hemisphere, that's when the flowers are certain flowers can be planted or expected to bloom past the last frost. Now, that's not a concern down here where it's 91 degrees, but for those of us who live in the Northeast.
Now, is that the actual reason, or is that the one that you...
That sounds like a darn good explanation.
You convinced me.
Yes.
You convinced me. I'm sold.
Stanford batting here in the 6th inning. They started with Florida with an impressive win. Hard shot down off the bat of Hannah Howell to Allison Sang for out number 1. Studio update, Molly. Holly, as you well know, we have had 2 SportsCenter top 10 plays here in this regional yesterday. So we like to think we set the bar pretty high here in Gainesville.
And Molly's exactly right. I do love some defense. Gotta love the extra effort by all these teams, trying to do whatever they can to prevent these balls from falling. Ashlyn Adams had one yesterday, diving into the right field foul ground territory, making SportsCenter top 10.
That was number 5.
That was number 5. That was always one of my goals in college, was to make top 10. Don't ask me if I did.
By the tone of your voice, I will not ask you if you made that. Sophia Reynoso had the number 3 play, so we've had a couple of highlight reel plays here in this regional. We've had some exciting plays. Most recently, Johnson's wild scramble at the plate to score for Boise State. Called strike 3. Brodus gets the strikeout. Inouye's retired for the 2nd out.
How about that lefty curveball on the outside half of the plate? It starts in the other batter's box and it curves back over across the plate for strike 3 to Christina Inoue.
That is her 3rd strikeout of the night. 4th of the regional. 2 down here in the top of the 6th. Montana Dixon steps in, takes ball 1. In the top of the 5th, Tegan Cowles was cut down at the plate trying to score. In the bottom of the 5th, Johnson reached out, got the plate to score for Boise State. A couple of plays at the plate in the same inning. One went well for Boise State, the other not so well for Stanford.
But a great relay in from the right fielder, Ashlyn Adams, after misplaying that ball off the bat of Tegan Cowles. Hutchinson coming out to talk to Kelsey Brodus, regroup a little bit after falling behind to Montana Dixon, 3-0. She had a really efficient inning going. We talked about how efficient she's been in certain innings this game. On both sides, for both of these teams, these pitchers have been doing really well.
Four-pitch walk to Montana Dixon with 2 down. Tying run comes to the plate. There'll be a change here for Stanford while they sort it out with the umpire. Remind you that the 7 Innings podcast featuring ESPN's softball personalities is available on the ESPN app, on iTunes, or wherever you listen to podcasts. The most recent podcast has the bracket breakdown, taking a look at which regional is the toughest. They'll keep the podcast going, of course, all the way to Oklahoma City and beyond. Hannah Madison will come on to pinch run for Dixon.
Brodus continues to try to throw that curveball on the outside half of the plate to these righties, and it's just fallen out of her hand just a little bit, where she's having a hard time cutting it back across the plate for strikes. There's another good look at it again. Throughout this game, we've seen her cut that pitch back across the plate, just clipping it enough to either get these Stanford batters to swing at it or to get it called for strikes, and we are not seeing that here in the top of the 6th. And as a pitcher, when you know that your offense just got you 2 runs in the bottom of the 5th, what you want to do is sit down these batters in order, and now she's kind of letting them get away from her. Throwing a few balls in a row, walking the first batter, and now here behind 2-0.
6 straight balls thrown by Brodus after getting the strikeout of Inoue. Long conference in the circle, breaks up now.
Looked like Andrew Rich might have told them a joke out there. They were all laughing out there in the circle. A little comedic relief.
Kelsey laughed because she really has.
We got a smile out of her, yes, yes.
I thought I saw it, just want to make sure.
It must have been funny.
Has been locked in. Yeah. Doubly effective visit to the circle.
Got a strike and a couple of laughs out there.
Got some laughs for his jokes and a strike. That catches the corner. Emily Young disagrees. It's 2-2.
I'd say that one looks similar to the first couple of pitches that we saw in this at-bat. But regardless, home plate umpire calls it a strike, and we've got ourselves a 2-2 count.
Brodus tries to go to the same area, so Young, leaving nothing to chance, gets a piece. Another 2-2.
Full count, 2 outs. Hannah Madison is going to be on the move over there at first base.
There goes Matson. The pitch misses. First and second with 2 down here for the Cardinal.
Just missing low in the zone. She got a couple of calls on that curveball on the outside half of the plate. That one she tries to move in the bottom half of the zone and is not able to get that call. So back-to-back walks have runners on first and second here with 2 outs. Really had some efficient innings going, especially in the 4th and the 5th inning. Now that Stanford's got their rally caps going in the dugout, they've got something cooking here in the top of the 6th.
Emily Schultz takes strike 1. Schultz popped the short in the 2nd, flied out to left in the 4th. Season on the line for these 2 teams in this elimination game. Advantage Boise State at the moment. 2 on with 2 out for Stanford. Morgan Lamb normally making a lot of noise, but a little quiet right now. Popped up on the infield. Cervantes, the senior, calls for it and has it, and that ends the threat. Brodus keeps the shutout going after 5.5.
The NCAA Softball Regionals is presented by Capital One. What's in your wallet? And in part by Burger King. Mix or match 2 of our favorite sandwiches for just $6.
Now for our Capital One rewarding performance, and we will reward the play made by Carly Johnson. Cora Wade with the hit, Johnson with the slide and the stretch, and in safely to put Boise State on top 1-0. They would add a 2nd run when Wade scored on the RBI single by Cervantes, and a great effort by Carly Johnson to score for Boise.
Those fingertips are gold, just barely making it in there underneath the glove of Montana Dixon to score the 1st run in the bottom of the 5th inning.
Ashlyn Adams to lead off here in the home half of the 6th for the Broncos. They beat Stanford yesterday for their first ever win in the NCAA tournament. A win here tonight would have them 2 wins away from their first ever trip to the Super Regionals. Foul ball.
Adams trying to use small ball here to lead off the bottom of the 6th inning. Looked like she had some pretty good touch on that bunt for a base hit, but got underneath it to where it had that backward spin, and once it hit the ground, it kicked back into foul territory and brought her back up at the plate.
Adams 0 for 2 tonight, lined out to left and grounded to 3rd. This is slapped to the 3rd shortstop, rather. Young, 1 away.
And even though she might not have gotten a hit on that swing, they've been looking for Boise State to make adjustments up at the plate. That was a solid piece of hitting. It just happened to go right to Emily Young over at shortstop.
Here is Carly Johnson, who was hit by a pitch leading off the 5th. And we just showed you how she scored to get Boise State on the board. Fly ball to straightaway center field and carrying, but getting a good jump on it is Gindelsberger. Put it away for out number 2. Back to the studio, back to Molly. Tough to do at the Rhodes House. We'll see how that plays out for Arizona State. Two down here in the bottom of the 6th, and here is Hutchinson. Strike 1 from Bauer. Molly Millar started for Stanford. Freshman did a great job, but did get charged with 2 runs. Bauer making her 2nd appearance of the regional, pitched against Boise State yesterday. Overall, this is a very young Stanford team, just starting out on the rebuild by 2nd-year head coach Jessica Allister. We've mentioned a couple of times all the freshmen that she's had in the lineup. Freshmen got the start here today in this elimination game.
I said that was a big part of their fall as well. She was so proud of her seniors for taking in those freshmen and bringing them under their wing. One of their most memorable moments in the fall was everybody going over to Whitney Burks' house for Thanksgiving. She cooked for everybody, a big team bonding experience. But they never treated those freshmen like freshmen as soon as they set foot on campus.
Emily Young drifts back for it to put it away to retire the side. Last chance for the Cardinal coming up as we head to the 7th here in Gainesville. As we head to the 7th, we take a look at our game summary. Molly Millar, the freshman, getting the start for Stanford. Pitched into the 5th, gave up 5 hits, 2 runs. They were earned through 73 pitches. The story in the circle for Boise State, Kelsey Brodus, trying to pitch a complete game shutout. The winner to take on Florida with a spot in the Super Regionals on the line. Florida just needs 1 win. The winner of this game would have to beat Florida twice to win the Gainesville Regional. Back here at noon on Sunday. But first, business to attend here in the 7th. And senior Whitney Burke steps in and takes ball 1. Burks walked in the 2nd, struck out in the 4th. Hit a 3-run home run in the elimination game that Stanford played this afternoon against BU.
If you're Stanford here in the top of the 7th, your goal is to try to pass the bat to your teammate. You cannot win this game just on 1 swing. There's nobody on base here, so if you're Whitney Burks, you're looking to have a quality at bat, try to get on base any way you can and pass that bat along to Taylor Gindelsberger on deck.
2-1. Brodus threw 109 pitches yesterday in her complete game win over Stanford. Here's pitch number 100 tonight. That misses wide. It's 3-1.
I think we almost got a little bit of a smirk out of Kelsey Brodus after that one. Fallen out of her hand just a little bit, but she's fallen behind here to Whitney Burks, 3-1. Battling back to this full count. Like the aggressiveness from Whitney Burks up at the plate. We know she likes to take hacks, but this is one of those situations where you just want to try to get on base any way you can, not overswing in this full count situation.
Popped up. Right side of the infield. Johnson calls for it. One down. Back to Molly in the studio. Thank you, Molly. One down here in the 7th. Stanford down 2-0. And here is Gindelsberger, who takes strike one. She's 0 for 2 tonight.
Brodus throughout this game has worked that curveball outside to lefties, but here to Gindelsberger, she is working that pitch on the inside half, seeing if she can get her jammed up for a ground ball in this one-out situation.
There's the ground ball to the second baseman, Johnson. 2 down. We'll bring up another freshman, the number 9 hitter, Emily Klingeman. Klingeman flied out to center in the 3rd, fouled out to left in the 5th. Little soft liner and into right field for a base hit. So the freshman comes through with a 2-out single, and that turns the lineup over to the top of the order, and it's Tegan Cowles coming up.
And if you're Stanford, this is exactly who you want up in this situation. Their leading hitter on their team in that leadoff position. A great job by the freshman just to pass the bat along, driving that ball out into right field to extend this inning. One more batter to give Tegan Cowles a chance.
This is the 8th time that Cowles has faced Brodus here in the last 2 days. Yesterday, in the opening round win for Boise State, Cowles was 0 for 3 when she stepped up in the 7th and came up with a run-scoring single. Her last 2 at-bats tonight, base hits, so 3 hits against Brodus for Cowles.
All smiles from Tegan Cowles up the plate, embracing this high-pressure situation. She knows her team's season is on the line, but these are the kind of situations that you live for as a hitter. You want to put the team on your back. You want to get that game-winning hit, and she is loving every moment of this at-bat right now. Her teammates look a little bit more worried than she does, but she's got all the confidence up at the plate.
Three and one.
Teammates are a little nervous in the dugout. Serena Hutchinson calls a meeting in the circle for Boise State, bringing that infield together, calming everybody down in this high-pressure situation. And look at that, a smile out of Kelsey Brodus. Should have kept a tally. I think that might be 3.
She has been locked in from the start. Trying to make it 2 complete game wins over Stanford here in Gainesville. The 3-1 pitch. Ground ball to third, onto first, and Boise State advances to the regional final against the Florida Gators.
A great team win by Boise State. Their senior was able to come through with that base hit and, of course, that extra effort by Carly Johnson to slip her fingertips right underneath the glove of Montana Dixon to score the first run of the game. Boise State goes on to tack on another one and ultimately gets the win here in Gainesville, 2-0 over Stanford.
2 runs in the 5th inning, the difference for the Broncos, who now have 2 NCAA tournament wins in their history. To get a third, it will take taking down Kelly Barnhill and Miami, Florida. They have been so impressive over this last week. That comes up tomorrow, noon Eastern time, here in Gainesville, Boise State and Florida, right here at KSP. So for Madison Shipman and our entire crew, I am Eric Freed saying so long for now from Gainesville. Now let's send it to Bases Loaded. Here is Matt Schick.